Hey everybody, welcome to sunny Florida and the Bones Collector, and today I have a really fun video for you that I'm going to do, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time. It's the top 10 heaviest Euro games, the best playing heaviest Euro games that I know of. And I've played every one of these games and I'm in love with every one of them, and I hope you're going to like them if you haven't played them, and if you have, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So here it comes right at you, the top 10 heaviest Euro games from the Bones Collector. Here we go with the number 10 game on the top 10 list of the heaviest Euro games, my favorite heaviest Euro games. Number 10 is the Colonists. The Colonists came out in 2016, and it has a difficulty or complexity level on Board Game Geek of 4.10. Now I used a cutoff of 3.5 on Board Game Geek, and I had to use some kind of criteria to develop this list. And that's what I used, was a 3.5 on Board Game Geek. So the Colonists comes in at a 4.10, well over that mark, and it is a epic Euro game that is going to be played in 4 different eras, and it takes quite a while to play, but you're building a colony. You've been commissioned by the king to go out and develop your colony and make it the richest in the land. And the wonderful thing about this game is you can play 1, 2, 3, however many eras you want to, but if you play the full game, it will take you, I think it'll take you 3 or 4 hours. And I've done that, and every time I've played it, we have played the full game, and it's very satisfying to do. And the object of the game, of course, is to expand your colony, and you want to gather a bunch of resources to buy buildings and businesses, because you're going to be recruiting colonists, and your steward is going to be traveling around to develop and expand your colony, and ultimately you want to employ the most people to make the most money. So that's a really, really fun theme for this game. Board game designer is a guy named Tim Puls, I believe. P-U-L-S, and it is a really, really fun game to play. It comes with a book that walks you through an introductory game, and that's very, very handy. So you can go through that. It's like a magazine type, like the same size as the rule book, and you're going to go through it, and it'll tell you move by move what an introductory game would look like. So that really, really helps. I mean, it's hard to sit down with a game of this magnitude and want to motivate yourself to learn it. So it always is helpful when the developer puts something in the game like that, where you can learn the game move by move and watch somebody play it. And that's what you're able to do in this book. So that's pretty cool. And the name of the game is the Colonists, and yeah, I would suggest everybody try it. I really, really love it, and it's probably the only epic Euro game that I know of where you're going to really be involved in building a huge colony or community over time, and it's a blast to play. It's called the Colonists. Okay, number 9, Kurian. Kurian is a game that is published by Mayan Games, and Mayan Games has done a number of games that I've played that I really, really enjoy, and they are table eaters, every one of them. They have huge boards and lots of components, and they're very deep and involved, and Kurian is no different. It's my favorite game from Mayan, by the way. The reason why I love it is the theme, and that is Victorian magicians. So each player is going to be a magician in this game, and I love magic. Ever since I was a child, I love magic. But this game is about starting out as a novice magician. Everybody only knows one trick. So you start the game out as a one-trick pony. You're going to be trying to gather the things you need to learn more tricks, and that's the focus of this game, is learning these elaborate tricks. The water tank trick and various other card tricks that they give you, and they all come on cards, and you get a stack of cards, trick cards that you can learn, and once you learn those tricks, you go to the theater and perform those tricks for points. And boy, it's just the art in the game is very immersive. It's beautiful. I thought Mayan did a tremendous job with this game, and it comes in a regular sized game box, which is always nice, especially for a game that's this complex. And the complexity rating on this game was 4.18 according to Board Game Geek today, and so that's pretty deep. But I find it easy to play once you get into it. It's not that complex that it hurts your head, but it's so fun to be a magician in the Victorian times, and you're trying to learn these tricks, perform them on stage, and I don't know, I just have a great time with this game. From Mind Clash Games. Kurian came out in 2015. Okay, number 8 is a Vita Lacerda game called Co2 Second Chance. Now, Co2 Second Chance is the second print run, I believe. I think CO2 is a game from Vita Lacerda that came out earlier. And let's see, CO2 Second Chance is from 2018. So yeah, it was just a couple years ago. But CO2, the first one, came out a few years before that, and then they ran the Second Chance. And the reason why I really like CO2 Second Chance, or probably the main reason I enjoy it so much, is again, the theme of this game is so relevant. You get the Earth is getting a second chance. You know, we have a second chance to go out and get rid of these polluting power plants that we have on the planet. And in this game, you're going to do exactly that: get rid of those polluting power plants and replace them with green energy. And that's the whole focus of this game. And there's many intricate moves that you have to make in order to do that. And the reason why it's not as overwhelming as it could be is because you can play it in a cooperative mode. And we really like that best, actually. So Lori and I, my wife, will play this in cooperative mode. And the first time we played this game, we lost very quickly because you can really overpollute the planet fast in this game. So you have to be very, very careful. But we set it all up and played it again the next day, and we won, and just barely. I mean, we barely won. And but that is very satisfying. Who wants to win a game overwhelmingly? You'll get very bored with it. But we really, really enjoyed the challenge in this game, and the theme again is so relevant. It's so beautiful, especially in today's world, to play something with. And a lot of Vita Lacerda's games are like that. The themes are just so positive and wonderful, and he does it in such a way. When he's designing the game, all of the mechanics tie in thematically with what you're doing, and CO2 hits that mark 100%. So that's CO2 Second Chance, and it is rated as a 4.05 on Board Game Geek. Man, I tell you, I don't know about that. That game, I tell you, I thought it was one of the most difficult games to absorb that I've ever played, but I really, really enjoyed it. That's CO2 Second Chance by Vita Lacerda. Came out in 2018, and it plays 1 to 4, so there's a solo mode in there. You can play it competitively, cooperatively, like I said earlier. It plays in 60 to 120 minutes. I'd say it takes 120 minutes. Even with 2 players, it takes at least 90. But yeah, it's a beautiful game, beautiful experience. CO2 Second Chance. Number 7 is a Stefan Feld game called Aqua Sphere. Aqua Sphere came out in 2014. It has a complexity rating on Board Game Geek at 3.67. And Aqua Sphere is a programming game. It takes place underwater. It's an underwater research facility that you're programming. And you're going to have 3 boards in this game. You'll have an engineering board where your engineers will run around and program some bots that are on your player board, and the bots will decide what actions you can take in the research lab under the water. So there's 3 boards in this game, and you have to program your bots on your player boards with the engineers, and the one that you're using to program is a lot of fun to maneuver your engineers. It has arrows that limit you to the spaces that you can go to, and so every decision in it is very, very tricky and very fun, and it's one of my favorite Felds. It doesn't get a lot of press for some reason. It doesn't get a lot of buzz in the gaming world, but people who play it buzz about it, like me, and I really, really love Aqua Sphere. And it's Stefan Feld, and I always say this, he does more with less than anybody I've known. Even in this game, it doesn't eat that much of your table with those 3 boards. It's not that big, but the complexity and the mechanisms are big, and the things that you do, the decisions that you're making, every one of them have a direct impact on the game and the final total of your victory points. So that's Aqua Sphere by Stefan Feld. Came out in 2014, a 3.67 complexity, and a lovely game to play. It's a lot of fun. Okay, number 6, another Steffenfeld title called Trajan. Everybody that loves Steffenfeld owns Trajan. Trajan came out in 2011. It's been around a while. It has a 3.64 complexity on Board Game Geek, very similar to Aqua Sphere. And in Trajan, it takes place in ancient Rome, and you're going to get involved in politics and military, all the things that you would imagine from Roman culture. And it uses a mechanism called a mancala. If you've never used a mancala, it's going to be a set of dishes in a circle. You have pieces that you drop off as you go, and the last dish that you drop off when you're taking your turn is the action that you will take, designated by which dish you drop that in. And so every dish has a different action, and that's the focus and the crux of this game, is that mancala. You have to be able to work that, because at times you'll have different amounts of pieces that you're dropping off. You may have 3 or 4, and you have to plan for where the last one's going to land, because you're going to look at that mancala and say, okay, I want to take that action. I want to go to the forum, so I want to make sure I drop that piece. The last piece that I drop off is going to be in the forum. So you have to plan that out. I'm terrible at that, and I always get beat in that game and other games that use a mancala mechanism. I think Gold West uses a mancala, and so does Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. And I always, my wife Lori is good at working that mancala. She beats me at all 3 of those games, but I don't stop playing them because of that, because I really have a good time doing it. And Trajan is a beautiful board game design, folks. It's one that has been in my library ever since it came out in 2011, and it's not going anywhere ever, because every once in a while I want to drag it out and really put myself through the test to see if I can at last conquer the mancala in one of these board games. So I keep trying to do that, and that's Trajan by Steffenfeld. It plays 2 to 4 players, 60 to 120 minutes. Again, the weight was 3.64, but once, I tell you what, Steffenfeld's games, they're so intuitive, and once you get in the flow of things, you're off and running, and you're having a good time, and it doesn't feel like something that is very difficult at all. So that's Trajan, my number 6 heavy Euro game. Number 5 is another Mind Clash entry, and it is called Acronym. It came out in 2017. It has a 3.98 complexity rating. I believe it plays 2 to 4. And oh no, it has a solo mode also. Acronym does have a solo mode. And I hear the solo game is very good in this. Now Acronym, it's a big box game. I think the box is about that tall, that wide, and it weighs about 8 pounds. So there's a lot in the box. And in this game, the Earth was decimated by some cataclysmic event that wiped out most of the population. I think they said the 26th century, something like that, if I recall, in the game. And there are 4 factions that have broken off, factions of population, and they are trying to vie for power on this new Earth. And because of the cataclysmic event, you cannot go outside without a mech suit on, and you're trying to go out in these mech suits and acquire and mine resources to build things to help vault your population or your faction of population to the lead and win dominance in Acronym. So it's a very involved game. It's very fun, and you can also get a commander pack, exosuits they're called, and it comes in a separate box, and it's these wonderful little minis, and you take your workers, your actual cardboard chit worker, put them in the mech suit, and it's a worker placement game, didn't mention that, but you are going to take that mech suit, place it on your worker spot on the board, and that's the action that you will take. But it's a wonderful take on worker placement, and it's a wonderful feeling to mess around with time, because in this game you're going to be able to go back in time and send resources to yourself in the future, and then you have to pay them back before the game's over, or you're penalized. You're going to mess around with the space-time continuum, and you can cause an anomaly, and that will cause you to lose points in the end of the game. But once you're done playing an Acronym, you feel like you've actually been traveling in time. So it's very thematic. For a Euro game, it's very thematic, and it's a lot of fun. And that's an Acronym. Came out in 2017. Again, it plays from 1 to 4, and I guess the solo mode is excellent in this game, and I really, really like it. That's number 5, an Acronym. Okay, number 4, Tzolk'in Mayan Calendar. Now, Tzolk'in Mayan Calendar came out in 2012, and it made a big splash on the board game scene because it is unique in that on the main board you have 5 gears that are turning and meshing with each other, so that the main gear in the middle, when you take your turn, you turn it 1 space, and when you do, all those other 4 gears turn with your workers on them, so that once those gears start moving where you've placed your workers, you want to plan for where those gears are going to end up for the action that you want to take. It is a hard thing to do. The board isn't all that big, but it's a wonderful, wonderful work replacement game. And the thing that makes it kind of unique, besides those gears, is that on your turn you either have to place workers or take your workers off the board. You can't do both, and that makes for even deeper planning. And I really, really like this game. As a matter of fact, you start out with 3 workers, and you can get more workers as you go. But once you do that, the planning gets even harder, as I learned. But I love Tzolk'in Mayan Calendar. It came out in, 2012, been around a while. I don't see it losing any kind of popularity because, again, it's so unique. And I always have it listed in my top games of all time because of that unique mechanism of those gears on that board. And some people have painted the gears and tricked that game out, and it's just a fantastic game. It plays from 2 to 4 players in 90 minutes, and that's pretty accurate. And that's Tzolk'in Mayan Calendar. Let me see, too. That game was designed by Simone Luciani and Daniele Ticini, and they also did Teotihuacan, if you've played that game. Okay, number 3, another Vital Lacerda game called Kanban. Kanban came out in 2014. It has a 4.33 rating on Board Game Geek. That's pretty complex, and Kanban is a game about the automotive industry. If you've ever wanted to play a game about the automotive industry, this is the one. I mean, it's the king. There are other automotive games. Kraftwerk, I think, is one, and Automania is another, which are both lighter than Kanban. But Kanban does the best job, I think, simulating everything that goes into running an automotive factory. And they have, conference room, design room, the assembly line. You're going to have to get certified in different educational things on the board. So there's a lot going on in this game. Plane flying over. I can't control that. But Kanban, when you're playing it, and as you start out, of course, the focus of the game is to assemble and build the most cars, put them in your garage, and it's so much fun to do that. You have to gather car parts for upgrading your car designs, and every one of your designs that you upgrade you get points for, and it's the most points wins the game. And you also are going to go to the assembly area, use those car parts to roll those cars off the assembly line, put them on the test track, and once they're on the test track, they follow the pace car around the test track, and you go to that area and you can take those cars and put them in your garage if you have the proper tiles to do so. So it's very involved, but gosh, I'm in love with the game just because of the relationship to the automobile. And if you have anything to do with the automotive industry, I don't care if you're in car sales or you're a car tech at a dealership or you work in an auto factory, you have got to play Kanban because it is so thematic, so immersive because of the theme. And again, Vital Lacerda is so good at that, tying that theme into the mechanics of the game. And Kanban is no different. Came out in 2014. It plays 2 to 4 and 90 to 120 minutes, and that's pretty accurate. But it plays smoothly. I mean, once you get into it, it goes pretty good. And now I think there's a new Kickstarter that's out right now. This is the 10th, and it's got maybe 4 or 5 more days left. And it's Kanban EV, and it's the same game, I believe, by a different publisher. You know, it's Vital Lacerda's game, but he took it to a publisher that's really going to trick this game out. But it's all about electric vehicles, and I think that's pretty cool. And I would like to get that, but I doubt if I do, because I've got this one Kanban. I'll just pretend these cars are electric because I would rather they were electric. That's more my speed anyway. So that's Kanban. That was number 3. Okay, number 2 on this list is another Vital Lacerda game. Hey, I can't help it. This guy's good at making huge Euro games, and there's some that I would love to put on this list that I didn't, like the Gallerist and Venus Deluxe, 2 excellent Vital Lacerda games that just didn't make this list. But the one at number 2 on this list is Lisboa from 2017. It has a 4.55 rating on Board Game Geek, and that's the heaviest game on this list. But I tell you what, folks, when you play this game, you won't feel like it at all. Vital Lacerda is an amazing board game designer, and this is the best game I've ever played of his. He's got a game out that I haven't played called On Mars, and he's got, of course, the Kanban EV, which is going to be similar to Kanban, so I don't think that would be a factor. I've never played On Mars, so I can't testify as to whether that game is good or bad or whatever. But I've played all of his other games, and Lisboa is his finest design. And in Lisboa, you're doing that. You're rebuilding the city of Lisboa, Portugal. In 50-something, an earthquake hit Lisboa and decimated it. And a tsunami hit the next day from the earthquake, or that day, and flooded the city. And after the tsunami, fires raged through the city for 3 days. So it was a horrible event that took place for these people. And the king, the prime minister, and the master builder are the 3 nobles that you're going to be dealing with in this game, and getting their favor to take certain actions to help rebuild the city of Lisboa. In this rule book, it gives you the history of how they rebuilt this city, and I, as a board gamer, I appreciate that. I want to learn something when I'm playing board games. So I love when they do that. They tell you about how they used the rubble and embedded that in concrete in the foundations of the new buildings so that it would be earthquake proof. I mean, that's amazing. And they tie that in, Vital Lacerda ties that in with the mechanics of his game. You're going to be taking rubble, and that rubble is going to help you build public buildings and stores to rebuild the city of Lisboa. And I'm telling you, this is a big board and it's a big box, but the game is big and it is wonderful, and it's a great board game design. Again, number 2 on this list. Once you play it, you'll be in love with it. It's gorgeous to look at, and it's expensive to get your hands on, but that game is Lisboa. It's number 2 on this list. Came out in 2017. Plays 1 to 4, so there's a solo mode. And again, the heaviest game on this list, but it just doesn't feel like it because of the way he makes the interconnectivity of those mechanics all fit together and flow. It's wonderful the way he can do that. This guy must be a genius. I've never met him, but wow, I can't imagine trying to develop and design a game like that myself. Wow, what a fun thing it is to play, Lisboa. Okay, folks, and now my number 1 game, heavy Euro game of all time. Number 1 is Mage Knight. Yes, Mage Knight from Vlaada Chvátil. He of the eclectic board game designs. Vlaada Chvátil has done Codenames, which we have Codenames Duet, a variation on that. We have Dungeon Pets. He is also a designer of Dungeon Pets, Through the Ages, and various other games. He's the most eclectic board game designer I know of, and this is his heavy fantasy adventure game, and it's called Mage Knight, and it came out in 2014. It's a 4.29 on Board Game Geek, very complex, and the rule book is very well written for this game. Now, this game had a pretty good reputation for being complex and difficult to learn, so it scared me away for quite a while. But I was able to pick it up cheap, the base game box that you see here, at a flea market, and I thought, you know what, for that price I'm going to try it. So I picked it up and brought it home, and it sat here in my house for quite a while before I had the guts to take the box lid off. But when I did, I was very happy, and it has painted minis in here, and the whole world of Mage Knight unfolds before you by simply laying out more tiles as you go through the game. You travel around with your avatar, or whatever character you happen to be, and battle monsters that you come in contact with and conquer cities. And I'm telling you what, it's a beautiful experience. I did not think I would like this game, and not only did I end up liking it, but I ended up loving it. And that's why it's number one on this list. It's a blast to play, and you've probably heard people talk about what a wonderful solo experience it is, and it is, I imagine. I've not done it. My wife Lori and I play it in a cooperative fashion, and I love it at 2 players, and I can't wait to get it out and play it again. There's so much, and there's many expansions for this, and they also make a big version of this called Mage Knight Ultimate, and it has the base game plus all the expansion content that's ever been published. And but it's a great big box, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in just keeping this, because there's a lot going on in here, and it's something that I can revisit all the time, and just it unfolds in a different fashion every time you play it, and it uses a lot of card mechanic when you're doing battles, and it's just it's incredible. I can't say enough about it. I don't want to go on about it all day, but man, Mage Knight is my number one complex Euro game. I really, really love it. Again, it's a 4.29 weight, 1 to 4 players, 60 to 240 minutes, and every minute of it is a lot of fun, folks. Mage Knight by Palata Chavato. And that is it. That's my list. So that is 10 games that I wouldn't suggest playing them all in a row, because it's going to take you a while to do that. And I wouldn't suggest that you make your whole gaming library out of big heavy Euros like this. I have a very small percentage of these games because it's hard to revisit them a lot. You don't have that kind of time most of the time. I'm 64, and I'm very selective about how I spend my time, and I don't like to spend a lot of time sitting at a board gaming table for 2, 3, 4 hours. Most of my gaming library, most of Lori and I's gaming library, consists of games that take 90 minutes or less. So that's the time frame I like to board game in. We have grandkids, we have a lot of things going on in our life that we like to do also, but we still love to be board gamers, and so we like board games that don't take up a lot of time. But Mage Knight will take up a lot of time. Every game on this list takes quite a while to play, but it doesn't stop them from being beautiful. Hey, I'm not going to knock these games. They're wonderful, obviously, or they wouldn't be on this list. We really, really love them. These are our 10 favorites. I hope you get a chance to play them and enjoy them. Make sure you like and subscribe, because board gaming is the best hobby on the planet. I love every one of you, and I'll see you next time on The Bones Collector. Bye-bye.